Right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for Technical Tuesday. Right. Will be the third week for 2021. Right. And together with us today, we have Shaun too. Right. Known in Investopedia as Shaun 723. Right. So, hi, Shaun. Oh, by the way, you need to unmute.
Hello. Hey, Shafiq,
Hi,
how are
Shaun.
you?
Hi.
Hello. Can you hear me?
By the way, everyone can hear us, right?
I hope so.
Yes. So I cannot hear Shaun.
Hmm. I'm not on mute
Shaun,
though.
hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I cannot hear you. Can you speak something? You just testing the
Hello.
mic first.
Hello. Yes. Hello. Can
Yeah,
you hear me?
cannot hear you, man.
No. Hmm. That's
Uh,
weird.
Sorry, yeah, everyone.
It was working
We
before.
settle down this technical issue first. Right.
Audio.
Right. So, yeah, 71 people already joined us watching our live today. Thank you very much. And
Wow, very
for you
good.
guys that already stumble upon us, right? Watching our Technical Tuesday. It's Technical Tuesday, right? And please share and like, share to your friend, giving like and whatnot, right? Shaun, can you speak something? I still cannot hear you.
Yeah. Can you hear me now? No. I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm not here. Oh, can hear both of you,
No.
right?
All
So
right.
maybe something wrong
Okay.
with my earphone. All right.
Uh,
It's
that's going
okay.
to be a
Sorry,
problem
everyone.
because I
Okay,
need to talk
so
to him.
yeah, today we have Shaun, and the agenda for today, right? We're going to discuss about chart pattern, or mainly, main of topic that we're going to discuss is chart pattern. So we have Shaun here that as I understand, that he used chart pattern a lot in his analysis, right? Me myself, not really a chart pattern trader. I use them, but not frequent, lah, right? So we have an expert here, lah, Shaun, right? Okay,
Not really.
so Shaun, can you introduce yourself first and maybe explain a little bit what is your trading approach?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Shafiq. So, yeah, just good evening to everyone that's joining us here. If you're not on StockBit yet, you can sign up to StockBit at my.stockbit.com. Okay, so trading strategies. For me, personally, I like to invest in companies that I have an interest in, especially their business. For me personally, it makes it more interesting if you also like what they do, and it's even easier if you are in the same industry. And generally, what I'll do is, start with a little fundamental analysis, of course, and then you go into analyzing chart patterns and indicators as well to find a good entry point. Um, and always read the news.
Right. Okay, bro. So, um, sorry, testing. Right. Okay, bro. Right. So maybe we already learned a little bit about yourself, right? I mean, and what is your trading and how you do your trade, lah, right? I always I always talk about like our analysis approach, right? Means that what you
Yeah.
consider as analysis to set an entry point, and know that that is a potential buy and whatnot, right? And maybe today we're going to discuss about chart pattern, right? Anything you want to start for that?
Yeah, sure. Let's. I think today we will focus more on continuation patterns on a chart. Right. We can talk a bit about
Right.
that. Okay. So, for the benefit of everyone who's not so aware, continuation patterns, are also known as consolidation patterns, and they come in many different sizes and types of forms, right? Different geometrical shapes. So you have triangles, you have pennants, wedges, and flags. Flags can be on an angle, or they can be flat, like a box or a rectangle. And generally, when trends go into a continuation pattern, they tend to break out in the same direction. So if you got an uptrend going into a continuation pattern, more often than not, the breakout is going to be bullish. But
Because it's break out from an uptrend, right?
That's right. Yep, because it came from an uptrend. But of course, back to like knowing the company's fundamentals and also reading the news, because sometimes things that can happen in the market that can cause it to break bearishly or down. For example, the stock could be overpriced, and if you're not aware of that, you'd be hoping for a breakout that's positive, and that's not always going to be the case. So you do need to understand, first and foremost, what the company does and how they're really how they're doing going to quarter results. Those are little milestones.
So this means you sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
You can continue first. All right. So basically, you do like top to bottom approach, right? You study the fundamentals first. You understand the company, then you do the
I
analysis
think you
on
can say
that
that.
company, right?
Yep.
Do you have tried bottom to top approach? Means that maybe you discover a counter with a good chart pattern, for example, right? Have you use that kind of technique?
Yeah, I've done that before. I think in my current portfolio, I would say right now 90% is companies with good fundamentals, and then a 10% is technical plays, things that are fun. You see a pattern, you don't know anything about it, and you just put a small bet. Yeah.
Right.
Particularly fun with counters that are trading in the flag or a box, because it's flat and long. You just have all these swings of highs and lows, and they just go on forever. So you can't really lose there. It's a nice one to practice.
Right. So you basically like punting lah, right? In that sense. Yeah. Right. So from what I understand, right, you can even correct me if I'm wrong, right? What I understand from chart pattern is basically because market move in a certain pattern simply because we have this peak and through period, right? We have like low, high and low, high and low, right? And this movement happened due to the market effect, right? Which is like the dynamic of supply and demand and whatnot, right? But particularly when we talk about the chart pattern itself, it happened because why we can see sometime like rounding bottom, why we can see triangle, this flag pennant pattern, all this, right? From what I know is because of what we call accumulation and distribution, right? In every peak and through, there's a period of accumulation and period of distribution, right? And because of this movement, this exercise of accumulation and distribution of the operator in the market, or what we call the market makers, right, or the
Mhm.
hot money lah, right? So
Yeah.
they are basically like, in a way, indirectly also develop the pattern. Do you agree with that?
Yes, yes. I agree with that because look, I think we might have some examples later on. For example, like the chart that was on earlier, like Inda Properties.
Or you want to
Before the
check?
last, yeah, sure. Before the last breakout, there was a continuation pattern here, and we know it's because of their private placement. So whether they want to keep the price down, to entice more investors, but there are reasons behind it, and we can also see that in Serba Dynamic, which I think a lot of the stock bitters are familiar as well. One of Datuk
Yeah,
Karim's companies. So that's been in the flag for a
I think
long
most
time.
people. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Right.
maybe just before we start, I'll just explain a little bit about how to trade with continuation patterns, Shafiq.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a few things that you want to keep in mind. Firstly is the pattern is more reliable if the preceding trend is a strong one. If you have a kind of a steep uptrend going into a continuation pattern, you're more likely to get a decent breakout. Also, secondly, in any continuation pattern, you would want to see at least 3 or 4 points touching the patterns, right? So I can give you an example right here. So if we look at this is one of the starts. So we can see a very large spike, and then it came crashing down. And not long after, it went into a little continuation pattern here, right, which you can spot. And the more you do this, the easier it gets to spot. So here we have a little pennant, right, that came from this flagpole. As you can see, this is a very strong one because you can see the price touching this support level multiple times. Same with the resistance. And generally in a pennant or a triangle, these sort of patterns, the breakouts will occur near the end, but never towards the end. It rarely goes all the way out. So here we have the pattern. Then you're probably wondering, how do we spot or predict a breakout, right? To predict a breakout or look out for one, you would need to look at candlestick patterns. So if I can zoom in here a little bit, so you can see that let's see, 4 days preceding the breakout, we have indecisive candlesticks. You have okay, that's kind of a hammer, pretty short lower wick. You have two of that, one here, and then two very strong signals in dojis. And another tip is, if you notice the volume down here is accompanied by a fairly low volume, which is normally a sign that a breakout is going to occur. You have declining volume, and just before breakout, the volume is going to be quite low. And then you see on December 10th, you have a very large breakout. So the other thing to note is the height of your continuation pattern is also generally the height of the breakout. So that's something that's quite easy to predict, but doesn't necessarily happen all the time. Now, I picked this counter to analyze today because, well, it's one of my favorites, but also it's a very unique one because we can see many continuation patterns that will form consecutively. So as soon as that broke out, it went into another pattern here. Okay, and this shape here is a symmetrical triangle. There are three types of triangles. You have a symmetrical where the two lines converge, and then you have the ascending where the top is kind of flat, and then a descending triangle is where the bottom is flat and it's coming down. So you can see here we're trending with higher lows, and towards the breakout as well, low volumes, declining volumes. You can see from here, it's declining, getting lower and lower. And then finally, when it reaches the end of the pattern, it has to break out. And again, we can see the height of the breakout to be very similar in height to the pattern, right? So unfortunately, it couldn't sustain that, and it dropped a little bit, but you can see the height is very similar. It's quite weird, but it generally works that way. And then straight after that, you can see we have another one. This was very fun. It's still weird, man. So you got another one here, right? And this one here is your descending triangle. And after a breakout, you got another one here. So I'll just draw another one here. This one is more of a flag pattern, but it's also another type of continuation pattern. And I believe this was the point where the private placements were taking part. And I don't think anyone could have predicted this massive breakout here. But you can see the signs were quite strong because you have this splitting top with long upper and lower wicks, the hammer, two hammers here with very long bottom wicks and a very big doji. So like for me, when I see all these signs here, they are very strong signs that we're going to have a big breakout. And what is interesting, that's more current, that will appeal to everyone, is that we have another one here. So save this in your watch list and look out for it. This one here is called a symmetrical triangle. So you can see in one counter from November till the end of January, we have seen 4 or 5 continuation patterns, all different ones, all one after another.
Right. Okay. That's pretty dang interesting, right? Because the way you use your chart pattern, right, is completely different from mine. I mean, the way I use my chart pattern, I try to recognize pattern in more bigger time frame. You get what I mean? So, I try to spot this what we call the rounding bottom triangle, but in more bigger perspective. But I understand that you the way you do that, right, is basically is a good practice of price action, right? We can understand the price action through candlestick. We can understand the price action through chart pattern, but the way you use that, right, in the smaller fractal of trend is very interesting, right? Right. So maybe it's my turn to share my counter, right? Right. So because we discussed about chart pattern today, right? So I'm going to bring this counter Anju, right? So this counter, right? If you look at the bigger perspective, this counter is still in it's not in a downtrend anymore. It's already changed to an uptrend, right? It's already breakout to an uptrend. Okay. And like I have mentioned previously, right, in the first part, the pattern happened due to accumulation and distribution, right? Because of this accumulation and distribution, I mean, all the theories, right, is interrelated to each other, right? Why the volume is steady on that price, why steady at that level, why at the end of the pattern there's a surge in volume of this. So I mean, if you interconnected, right, everything back, actually is back to basic. It is actually the price action, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, I do agree with the technique that you use, right? But I'm not that uh, I'm not that expert yet to use that. So maybe I share my own the way I use my chat pattern, lah, right? So if you look at Inju today, right, you can see that is forming a big triangle, right? But one thing
Yep.
that most people not understand or probably not know lah, right? Actually, this pattern, right? You see that we got this resistance here, and we got another support here, right? So I know some of you might ask why this not something like this, why the pattern is not like this, right? Yeah, I mean, the reason why I'm not see this as the pattern simply because we have like previous low to another low, right? So I use
Yep.
this low and this low. That's number one. And number two, the reason is because most of the time the breakout will happen around around. I mean, the pattern will not happen until the end. Will not be
Correct.
like this.
Yep. It will never finish.
Only at here you will break out, right? And if you consider that as a theory to rely upon, right? So you will not say this as a pattern because this is already at the end of the both support and resistance, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why I recognize this actually a more bigger pattern, right? So that's why I use this support resistance. Okay, right. So, but anyway, the price can still break out, right? The price can still break out within this resistance. Means that maybe the next day the price break out with strong volume and stronger momentum, right? Because
Yeah.
today the price, this pattern, right, is already being tested like 3 times, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and all 3 times is only left the wicks of the candle, right?
Yeah.
Even though it accompanied by a strong volume, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, I mean, this breakout need to happen strongly, right? And as my
And
own way of using technical analysis, I will compare this to few indicator lah. I will look at few momentum, I look at few volume analysis and whatnot, right? But
yeah.
yeah, but what the another importance of price chart pattern is we can anticipate a direction because when we anticipate a direction in the market, right? I mean in chart especially, it will help us to plan our position better, right? It's basically like if then if not then logic means that, right, if the price break out this, it will go to what level, right? If the price go back down, it will go to what level, right? You get what I mean? This
Yeah.
the if
Yeah.
and if not things, right? So
Yep.
you indirectly you already prepared to the opportunity, both opportunity and the risk, right?
Yep.
And this opportunity and risk is uh, being supported by the theory of chart pattern, right? So yeah, that's how I see chart pattern, how it works and how it can help us in planning our trading, right?
Yep.
So yeah, that's my comment lah on Enju, right? So Shaun, maybe anything you want to add? You want to continue discuss another counter also can?
Um, Yeah, sure. Let's do another one. Super hot stock today. 19, almost 20%. SCIB, I think everyone's favorite here. Um, I I picked this one in particular, not because of how well it did today, but because you can see quite a few patterns in here as well. So the first one that I spotted from here was back in November. It's not quite a continuation pattern, but we have the, oops, that's my pen. Okay, this one is a bit more rare. We have a cup and handle pattern here, which is rarely seen, to be honest, as rare as a double or triple top. Cup and handle patterns, chart patterns are also very, very strong. And normally the trends that precede that will be a strong bullish trend. As we can see what happened here, right? After that, see the trend going into that was bullish, but it's quite flat, right? It's not that steep. After the successful breakout, we can see the angle has completely changed, right? So that's a very bullish breakout there from a cup and handle pattern. Also, another one here, before the last breakout, we can see a flag here. Right about there. So, see, after this December 24th, after Christmas, it went to slightly consolidating mode, a bit sideways, then went down, and then again you have a very strong candlestick signal here that suggests a breakout's coming with this hammer here with a fairly long bottom wick, as long as the day before. But see, very importantly as well, we need to check the volume. Very low volume on this day. And we can see that the volume has been declining slowly until this day. And the next day was, the next few days especially, until today, been quite spectacular, Shafiq. And the last week was very interesting, right? I think quite a few people have been discussing this, because the last week KLCI was pretty bearish. Most counters were down, right? I think majority were down. But so SCIB maintained this support right here, this arbitrary line somewhere around here, 2.1. And this pattern is also very rarely seen. You have 5 indecisive candlesticks I can't remember the last time I've seen this all in a row. So normally when you see one of these indecisive candlesticks on the top of a trend, it's generally going to go down the next day. But after seeing 5 without them collapsing, I think we all knew a good breakout was coming. Especially because it's also going back to needing to know about what the company does in the news. This is supported very heavily with the free warrants, which are coming out next week. X date 2nd of February. If so there is a story there to keep driving the price. That will help you predict a breakout. If there's nothing happening, or if the stock's already overvalued, there's no reason for it to go up. Therefore it should come down or continue in a sideways continuation pattern.
Right. There's been no supporting reason for the price to break out, right?
Yeah. So for me,
I agree with that.
I'm a fan of that. Like I don't like I don't really enjoy just purely speculative counters, because the question is always, when do you get out, right? No one really knows when do you get out. But for something that's solid, with for example, this company or many others with strong order books and tender books, you can value them, right? You can calculate the EPS or the PE, and you know what they're worth. So a strong story to support a predicted breakout.
All right, it's good, man. All right, so yeah. Also, I also use thing like that lah. I mean, I also practice the same thing. When we understand a certain, for example, price action happen, right? It must be backed by a reason lah, right? And
Yeah.
that reason must be supported by probably macro economics or the microeconomics or the business wise of the company itself, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, like your example, right? Because of the bonus issue. So yeah, that makes sense, bro, right? But we need to understand that there's two way of doing technical analysis, right? So we can do technical analysis. The basic reason uh, ag- uh, why we use technical analysis as a study, simply because we study the price, right? Because sometimes things happen even before the news came out, right?
Yeah.
And this is things that you only probably notice after the price breakout, after the price, um, you know what I mean? So
Yeah. Yeah.
you try to detect what is the anomaly inside a price chart, for example, right? Why suddenly the volume going crazy, right? Why suddenly there's a pattern here, all of that, right? So that's why I will believe that there's a two side of technical analysis, right? You do top to bottom approach in the sense that, right, you understand the company, then you play the counter, right? And you can do the vice versa, which is you do the technical analysis, only then you try to see is there any supporting reason from the market, or just simply a speculating, right?
Yep.
If it is a speculating, it's okay because we are trader, right? So that's my point lah, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So come back to the chat pattern, right? Yeah. Now I'm going to share this counter and call, right? But this chat pattern is a rounding bottom, for example, right? This is a rounding bottom chat pattern which is already breakout, right? Why I show rounding bottom that is already breakout is because I want to explain why um, and how to use this chat pattern, lah, right? So normally when we discover a chat pattern, any chat pattern, right? We will do a few steps, or we'll do few basic steps, right? The first step is we recognize where is the support resistance, right? For example, if you spot a triangle, right, you will do the uptrend resistance and downtrend support, which is will make them be like something like this lah, in a triangle, right? But same thing to this rounding bottom, right? What you should know is this is actually three things happen inside this pattern. What thing happen inside this pattern is basically, first the price is downtrend, then it stay in an accumulation period. So that's why the price is maintained above a certain support, right? And you can also see if there's actually like volume that probably buying in, which is what we call accumulation, right? And after that,
Mm-hmm.
period of markup, where the period of breakout. So breakout from this sideway, right? And creating an uptrend. So downtrend, sideway, uptrend has become a rounding bottom. Okay, so yeah, that is the basic understanding of rounding bottom, right? So what we should do when we spot this pattern? First, we draw the support and resistance. So the support resistance, the strongest one here, because this is the closing price, the highest closing price. Second, I will say here. Okay, so in this rounding bottom, you need to break at least 2 points to totally break out from this pattern, right? And of course, we also need to draw the trend here, right? Because this is actually an
Yep.
uptrend.
Yeah, correct.
So, yeah.
A very
So
steep
if
uptrend.
and if you notice, right, this counter, the momentum is high because you see the angle is quite high, and the volatility is quite low, in the sense that every day the price keep increasing, and even if the price drop, right, it's drop 1%, right? If the price go
Yep.
up, it go up 1%. It's very steady counter lah, not very volatile, but have a good momentum. That's why this kind of counter is a counter that you should buy and hold, right? You don't want to buy and you don't want to do short trade on this type of counter lah. You're just wasting your time, right? The best way to maximize your profit in this type of counter, right, is to buy and hold, right? So come back to our chart pattern, right? So a lot of citing to this, right? But
Yeah, it is.
coming back, yeah, coming back to chart pattern, right? You can see that, right? This price, before it break out, it go through another period of accumulation, right? Before it break out this resistance, okay? And it break out with a very strong candle, which is 11% up, right? And also have very strong volume and momentum, okay? So of course, because it's already break out at that strong momentum, right? It have tendency to rebound back, testing the previous resistance become support, right?
Yep.
But it's not always like that lah, but most of the time it is, right? So yeah, this is what you can see in NCOM, for example, right? So let's bring counter like FIHB that probably we can discuss, right? You see, what happened in FIHB is also a rounding bottom, right? Where there's an obvious downtrend, right? And that downtrend is a small period of sideways, right? Maybe I need to draw here. So here is a downtrend, okay?
Yep.
Then small period of sideways before go to uptrend, okay? So this also support by double bottom of all of this, right?
Yeah.
Big pattern of double bottom, but
Yep.
the bigger time frame is this is a rounding bottom that happened here, okay?
Yes.
So yeah, what I will do, I will draw the support resistance first. Okay, so this is the first resistance. This is the intermediate resistance lah. This is like our immediate support. If the price retrace back, it probably will retrace around this support level, right?
Yeah, we can draw all the different levels.
Yeah, and in fact, if you see this kind of trend, is actually moving like this, move in this manner. Yeah. So this is the channel of the trend lah, right? Means that you already at the upper top of the trend, right? So it have high probability for the price to retrace back, especially when the price just straight away break from 490 to 630, right? Okay.
Yeah, I hope you bought some.
I didn't, bro. I just explaining for the sake of today event, right? Yeah, right. So like unfortunate that I didn't see this type first. I mean this pattern first. In fact, here you can see like probably triangle or double bottom. It's not double bottom. It's probably like triple bottom, something like that. Right? But this is interesting pattern that you can recognize in FIHB, right? So if I want to enter this counter, right, what I will do, I recognize this as rounding bottom. So I know if the price breakout, it have, by theory, it have, sorry, where's the things? by theory, right, the price might go this high from the low to top, right? The length, the height of the pattern. So if the price breakout, it can touch this. Yeah, by theory lah, right? So by theory, if the price break out this rounding bottom, it can go to 88 cents. Okay, so
Yeah.
yeah, so what I will do, because there's still room for upside, right? So what I will do, I will use fixed range volume to recognize where the concentration of volume people buy in this counter. So
Yep.
just so happen that the fixed range volume, the concentration of volume people buy in is also where's the support or
Very
the
strong
previous
support.
resistance relies, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, from there we can do an if logic, right? If the price breakout, what we should do. If the price retrace back, what we should do. So yeah, that's my comment on FIHB and how to use chat pattern together, right? Yeah.
Yeah, nice one, Shafiq. I think I just want to, I guess, highlight to everyone watching that what you showed us has a more longer view. It's much more zoomed out, you know.
Yeah.
So it's a more longer term play to find a very big reversal in the trend. Whereas what I've been looking at is very zoomed in, right? I'm looking at weeks or months, whereas
Yeah.
yours could be almost up to 1 year. So keep in mind that the smaller patterns that I look for, it doesn't mean that the trend will be reversing into a big uptrend, or whether it's going to reverse to a downtrend, right? It's really a trend within a trend.
Yeah. Trend within a trend. Understand?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's very common as well. So if we zoom out, like okay, I've just been reading the comments, and quite a few people want to see bio. So
So bio
I've got
holding, bio what? Bio holding.
I've got bio alpha up. Had a few requests here. So okay, so now it's very zoomed out. I'll let you, Shafi. Why don't you analyze this first, so you can, tell our viewers what you can see. This is a very
Bio.
zoomed out view. Yeah.
All right. So let's go to bio holding. We also have have position in
See.
this lah.
Ah.
Just speculating actually.
this,
Right.
this one like a double bottom.
It's not double bottom because double bottom must happen at below of the. I mean, at the low lah, right? So this is double bottom, but this is already past lah. What we're going to talk about, what
Yes.
going
Yes.
to happen next, right? So we're going
Correct.
to try to understand what going to happen, right? So yeah, if we going to combine chat pattern analysis as well, maybe I
Yeah.
should
Sure.
delete this thing first, right? So I will consider this as one. You see here that we got like a gap, right?
Big gap
And
up.
this gap is gap up, and this gap is what we call runaway gap. Means that is a gap that happened in a existing trend, right? It's basically like continuation. It's like the stronger, it give like indication that this trend is actually a strong trend. Okay.
Yep.
So this is what happened in this gap, right? And after that, the price keep trade in between this box lah, right? So
Yeah.
So draw the box first. Right. So yeah. So this is what happened in the bigger time frame, right? But I don't think that is. I mean, these two, 205 and also 395 is the strong support resistance, which is the major support resistance, right? So whenever the price drop,
potential.
yeah. So whenever the price drop, for example, if the price drop to this level, right, it might have a strong reason or strong support to rebound, right? But again, it's already past. So let's continue what going to happen next. So, right, to be honest, actually this counter, right, is is ranging in sideway. And this ranging in sideway, if you look at the smaller chunk of trend, right, you can see that there's a uptrend, downtrend, uptrend, downtrend, right? So maybe I draw the thing first, right? So we can see uptrend, downtrend here. Sorry. So we can see the first downtrend here,
Yep.
right? Then sideway, uptrend,
Yep.
then downtrend, right? Okay. So currently it's actually on a downtrend lah. Okay, it's actually still on downtrend, but it tried to break this resistance, which is try to break this resistance lah. Previous resistance, which is 305. That is the minor resistance we have there. Okay, so chart pattern wise, this is probably the wedge, right? So when the wedge, what happened here? The price break from this wedge and the price go up, right? But it cannot sustain because this downtrend, right? The channel is bigger, right? So we are at
Yeah.
the end of the channel, then the price drop back. Okay.
Yep.
So what this counter should do to continue to go up is it need to continue trade above this trend line. Okay, means that it probably going to create a new trend. Okay, it must respect this trend. Okay,
Yep.
and break this previous level, which is also the resistance of this. Okay. So yeah, resistance of this. But this is probably what you say a wedge pattern, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I do. And if anyone was monitoring this at the time, then you would have seen a breakout coming. That's something interesting with continuation patterns, right? Sometimes you may not know the story that's driving it, but it's going to this wedge or triangle, it's coming to the end, and it has to break out. So if you're gonna have a punt on a technical play, then without a story it could go up or down. So I guess it's quite interesting as well. You were talking about sideways patterns and boxes, right? And there's this one stock that I just want to show everyone. So this one I used to trade a bit, Niche Capital, or Nice. It's a super steady one that's been trading in this lovely box since October, since the 1st of October. And you can see here the resistance and support lines are quite strong. The resistance has been broken a few times, but no successful breakouts. They all come back down. Not quite sure why, but hopefully things will change this year because a lot of analysts have predicted that 21 is going to be bullish for gold and Bitcoin, the digital gold. So hopefully this guy can go up. But until then, I think this would be a fun one for you guys to try trading. Buy when it's down here and sell when it's around here. As you can see, it hasn't failed it yet. It's tested this theory and kept with it. What do you think about this, Shafi? Strange, right?
Ranging between that channel.
It's ranging between this channel and
Yeah, I mean this is very logic because that is the level with the most supply and demand. The concentration of supply and demand is there. So yeah, if the
Yeah.
price really can break that resistance, right, and break
Yep.
another resistance which is previously been tested,
Yeah.
yeah, that signifies that the price breakout from this sideway and creating a new trend which is uptrend probably, right? Yeah.
Yep. And
Any other counter you want to share, bro?
um, yeah, maybe we can do a quick one based on what we have learned from the last MCO last year. Okay. Um,
Sure.
I want to highlight Maybank. Not Maybank in particular, but just the banking industry. So let's just forget that for a second. I will go back to sometime last year. Okay. If we see here, we also have a very nice pattern here, right? You can see this flag. It's just a rough drawing, not very good, but you see it traded in here for a long time. Now, if you had no idea on what went on, all you would see is the price steadily trading within this box, this flag. But if you knew about what was going on, this was during the MCO when there was a moratorium period. So, all the banks weren't doing very well. So they all went to this consolidation mode. Towards the end of the moratorium, once it was called off, we start to see breakaway signals. Instead of it trending up and down here with the swings, it started to become sideways and closer to the resistance. So, learning what we know from last year, we have another pattern forming here. A bit more of a steep decline, a bit more steep, but I
You mean
guess
same story,
that's right.
repeat again, lah.
Same story. It will
Yeah.
repeat again, right? So we're in another lockdown. There is a moratorium, and if you guys keep up with the news, you know when it's ending. Perhaps you want to trade this because the upside is huge. Okay, the first time it broke out 7, 1, 2%. I mean, the total was quite large. It's over 10%. And for Maybank, I think that's a lot. That's quite special. And then this one here was about 6.5%. So this breakout, when it eventually happens, will be fairly large as well. So I guess this is one to look out for if you want.
Yeah. And in fact, right, if the price really reverse from that
Yeah.
channel, it create in the bigger perspective lah. You create a higher low from November to March, right? From November
Yep.
to the current price lah, right?
Yep.
You will create
Correct.
a higher low, and probably if you zoom out the
Yeah.
bigger time frame, right? It's probably signifies a new trend, right? Which is also I would say, which is also this thing happened, which also support by the fundamentalists, which say that if
Correct.
recovery really happen, right, the bank sector is going to move first, lah. Right? I mean, this is one of the sector that will benefit from recovery. So
Yep. Yep.
so
Agree.
this is what happened in the bigger
Yeah.
uh, in the bigger time frame or in bigger scale, right? Scale
Yep.
of
Yep.
things. So
Thanks.
it's
Thanks
very
for
interesting.
highlighting. Thanks for highlighting
Yeah,
because yes, it's very important. That the traders out there also zoom all the way back to look at the big picture, to see what's going to happen, especially if you intend on a longer term hold. If you're intraday trading, maybe it doesn't matter, but if you're going to hold it, then this is a good sign, like you mentioned. I think Kai mentioned a chat is supported by the 200 MA. Yes, you're absolutely right. It's right here. And, you know, if it bounces off that, as you pointed out, Shafiq, we've created a higher low. So things are looking up, you know, for banking, which also aligns with the story we have right now of vaccines coming out, you know, blah, blah, blah. So that's the interesting about charts, right? Because all the news and all human behaviors are reflected into this thing, even indicators.
Means in Dow theory, he said that whatever happened in the past, future, and the current time is already reflected in the price. So yeah, this is the kind of technical analysis that we try to understand what happened here, what is the story, what drives the price to be like this. So
yeah,
that's why even as a fundamentalist, right, probably if you have like a simple understanding for technical, right, you can maybe spot germs before before the price really move, right? You know what I mean? Before the price really going really all this. Yeah. So that's why we need both combination of fundamental and technical, right, to perfecting our strategy.
100%.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I think we've talked about this, you know, personally last time. The more signals you have, right, as you call the confluence of signals, the more confident you can be with the trade, and the stronger the breakout or reversal will be if your chart patterns are also supported by indicators.
Yeah. Right. So I think we already discussed about chat pattern for hour already. Right. Let's go through comment section and maybe we can answer that.
Yeah, sure.
All right. There's a question from Jolie. Right. What aspect of trading do you guys think is the most overlooked? Right. Maybe you can answer that one first.
That's a good question. What do I overlook? I think a lot of things. Because
A lot of things.
yeah. No, I say that because it's sometimes it's difficult to remember every single detail. But also another thing what I want to say on top of that is, you know, not to buy things on impulse, because that's when you overlook a lot of things. But if I have to pick one, I would say probably market sentiment or some insider news. Sometimes you read news late and it's too late. It's over. your trade's gone. I mean, it's hard to keep up with the news throughout the day, especially if you also have a day job.
Of course. All right. Okay, so for me to answer this, right, aspect of trading that I think most overlooked. Actually, everything in trading is interrelated to each other, which is every part is important. But I think most people overlook the mentality part and also the money management part, because when they learn trading and they learn technical analysis, for example, right, they more eager to know like what is the direction of the market, whether tomorrow go up, tomorrow go down. You get what I mean? So
Yeah,
they
buy or sell.
more focused to the analysis. They more focused to analysis, which is not actually really help them because analysis is just analysis to provide you understanding why you think that is a low risk entry and whatnot, right? Why you think it can provide a bigger probability for you to win the trade. But at the end of the day, right, most people overlook the mentality part, which is like you need to really have a strong mental understanding, right? What is your strategy? What is your discipline? What is your rules in trading?
Discipline.
Yeah,
Yes.
what you want to achieve, right? Because even if we go back to the last year, for example, right? Me myself, I always try to achieve around at least 5 to 10% every month, right? Sometimes lucky enough I can get more lah, but most of the time I try to get around 5 to 10% in a month. So what happened last year, because market is super bullish, right? It's like whatever you buy, sure win one lah, right?
Yeah.
So you have this confidence, you have this super confidence, like you feel like, all right, you cannot lose this, and you, if you not play that counter or you not play the market at the moment at that time, you miss out. You get what I mean? But actually, I already passed my my target return for that month, right? So I shouldn't be too aggressive. All this, I should be. You get what I mean? So all of this is important, lah, right? It is interrelated to each other, but I think is what people overlook, most overlook. Okay. So
Yeah.
thank you, Jolie. Good question.
Very good question, Joe. Actually, I just thought about one that I used to overlook a lot. Patience. You've done
Patience.
your
Yeah.
fundamental analysis. You've done your technical analysis. You just need to have patience. Trust that it will come back out based on the pattern and your strong fundamentals. Sometimes you're too eager to sell because some other counter is hot. You want to cut loss and put your money in there, but it could reverse
It's
the
about
next
mentality also.
Yeah, so discipline, patience.
Yeah, right. So we got another question. Any technical or chart explanation on why announcement? Right.
Rondy.
So yeah, what do you think? What do you think?
Oh, actually, I want to maybe take this minute to go and tell everyone here, please stop selling on QR, okay? Especially on gloves. Stop doing that. Solid companies making billions of ringgit, don't sell. They're still undervalued.
Right.
As for chart patterns, I don't think that.
Yeah. Is there any reason from technical perspective, maybe?
Maybe we can have a look, see what we can find.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Earnings here. Well, actually, that is a pretty good question, Rondi. How do we know they're going to sell down? Okay, if we go to the last one of the QR release in September, 2 days before the sell down, we have two very indecisive candlesticks, and especially this hammer with a long bottom wick that has gapped up from here is very dodgy. Nobody wants to see that on the day before the release, which will probably tell you it's going to go down. But then, oddly enough, you see all these four very strong, indecisive candlesticks that suggest that an uptrend is coming. And, we see that here with higher lows and higher highs. So, yeah, I guess sometimes it can be reflected in the chart. If we go to the... Okay, well, I take it back. Not every time. If we look at December, the day before, it was very bullish here, 7%. Perhaps the results leaked out. But, still grossly undervalued. No reason for all this to happen. Although we know now that there was a lot of short selling happening as well. How about we look at Tata, whose results were out? Well, I think sometimes on results release day, we can see what happened the days before. I've always suspected that sometimes these results leaked out. So it gapped up, and it almost immediately filled the gap today. Shafiq, what do you think about that?
I think I just answered them generally lah. I think there's probably two reasons. First, because of market sentiment, and number two, because of of the dynamic of the market. So what I mean by number one, dynamic of market first, right? What I mean by dynamic of market is basically because last year this glove counter or glove sector is the leader of the rally lah, the leader of super rally. So what happened on that time? Just so happened that on that time also we have MCO lah, interest rate getting lower of this. So what happened is strong number of there's a big number of people that coming into stock market, right? And you get, that's why last year is a stock, it is a hot for stock market lah, right? So a big number of people coming into stock market, and what they for start or for beginner, for example, right, what they know is if you buy glove you make profit, right? So which is pretty fair understanding lah, right? Which is quite solid also lah, right? On that time. So what happened? That glove really is not just based on dynamic market, right? It not just support by the effort is not just from the institution. It's also support by the retailer, which is have a more shorthand, right? Means that they have like more, they don't have like strong position lah, right? They sensitive to few percentage of loss. For example, like if the price drop maybe 10%, 15%, then you can see that it's a big sell down there, right? So yeah, that's what happened first on the market dynamic, right? And number two is because of the sentiment, and because of that also, right? Because of the what happened on that market dynamics, it brings the nuance that glove is not it's like the sentiment is like glove is already priced in, right? You get what I mean? So even though there's a arguments lah, there's a good debate that we can also have if we want to discuss, right? But yeah, I think this is the two main reason lah, and this nuance is already stick with the glove. That's why whenever the result coming out, it's like people already expecting the result. It's like, we already know the result is already going to be that bombastic. So just take profit because we already profit for the last 2 days of previous earning announcement, for example, right? So that's probably what happened, but that's that's the general probably.
But then if you look at the bigger picture, they are still so undervalued. There's still a lot of upside. Don't run away with your money. Just keep it there. Keep it there.
For me, right? For me, what happened in glove is because it is a super trend. So if you look at more bigger picture, it's actually just an up down. That's all. I mean, this big downs, this big crash is actually retracement. You know what I mean? For this big super trend or for this big trend. So that's my opinion lah, right? So but of course we couldn't risk our position, I mean our capital also. So for now you can see that glove is gaining the traction. Maybe try to create an uptrend, right? So let's see how it goes. Right? I think I also need to mention that StockBit have a good session last week, right? With Rondi, Yunanda, and Niago. You guys can go to StockBit Malaysia YouTube channel, and you can watch that and learn about glove and why they think glove is underplay lah. It's like they being they undervalue lah, right? Why glove should be glove on lah, right? Anything you want to add?
That was actually a very interesting session. I believe they covered COVID, they covered efficacy of vaccines, and then they covered quite a few glove counters as well, Malaysian and international. So if you guys are interested, go to StockBit or YouTube on StockBit Malaysia's channel. the video is there. Very interesting watch with your time.
All right, bro. There's one question that quite interesting also. What is your recommend book for technical analysis?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've only read if we're talking about books, I've only read one so far. Is Steve Neeson's book, which is an introduction to candlestick patterns. It starts with the history of how candlestick patterns were developed by Japanese rice traders a couple of 100 years ago. Very, very interesting. And how it's applicable to the stock market, right? Because for them, it was an easy way to look at price rises and falls, right? By the color, as we all know, they're quite easy to spot. So Steve Neeson wrote that book about candlesticks and really popularized this type of analysis in the Western world, and now back to Asia as well. So I think if no one's read that, that's a very good one because it explains a lot of things and the theories behind it as well. Not just seeing like doji means reversal. It's interesting to understand the logic behind it and the behavior. And Shafiq, what about you?
Right.
Any interesting books?
I actually have mentioned previously, but I forgot the title. I tried to Google now.
You've read too
What is
many,
the
man.
title? I forgot. No, okay. To be honest, I am not really. I not read cover to cover lah. But I have few reference books, and these books I use as reference. I try to skim what they try to deliver and try to understand that. So actually, I forgot about the books. Actually, my student, I use that book to structure my academy syllabus lah, basically, right? There's a three important things that he mentioned trader need to know. So I structure based on that 3 point, which is first sound psychology, which is the mentality part. Second, logical trading strategy, right? And number 3 is a risk management plan, right? Risk management plan that works lah, right? Yeah, that is basically like a simple point that really give me a big big hit lah. It's like when I start trading and keep losing, right? And come to that books, and when I read that 3 point, right, it's basically like the summary of the book lah, right, which mentioned at the last. I feel like this is definitely the way to go lah. This is definitely what I mislook in trading and the stock market, right? I always, like I say lah, right? I always look at how to analyze what counter to go out, all this, right? Without really think about this another 2 things, right? So I forgot what is the name again, sorry. But I have few books lah. I have library of books which I use as reference. Depends on the topic. Maybe I can share that later.
Depends on the topic. Maybe we can share some on StockBit as well. Some interesting books. Actually, there's one more thing for Jonathan. Actually a pretty good and free online resource that I use as well is Investopedia. They have quite a lot of articles on fundamental analysis or technical analysis, and they're actually like modules, like syllables, so you can deep dive into chart patterns, for example, or momentum indicators. So that's available online, Investopedia. That is quite a good reference as well.
Right. So there's a
Okay.
question from Aiden Shah. Sorry, can see the can see this question.
Nope.
It's big
I
lag.
don't.
Sorry.
I don't think it's changed yet.
The question is can Malaysian semiconductor benefit from global chip shortage? So yeah, what do you think, bro?
I mean, without knowing their business intimately, I would say yes for sure because over here our semiconductor companies have their own factories, right? And they're actually manufacturers, right? They're not just the middle people that buy and sell. So I'm sure that a lot of these companies out there, semicons, EMS, and whatnot, I'm sure they are reaching out to a lot of the car makers as well, because that's been reported recently as well, a global shortage in car chips. So I'm sure they're all trying to get in. I think we talked about this the other day. DNO supplies, to some international companies, and I think MPI as well. So yeah, I'm sure they can benefit, but I have no idea how much they can benefit or whether they are too late, because
On what scale?
on what scale, because I think if Donald Trump was still around, then we would have a much bigger chance, right, with the trade war with China. But with Joe Biden in, things will start to change a bit. But I'm sure there's still opportunities for Malaysian companies to have a piece of that pie.
Because most of Malaysian company is in the pipeline of the it's like the supply of in the supply chain.
Yeah, actually we have many parts of the supply chain, from wafer to test equipment,
Yeah.
all along to the end.
And in fact, it's already reflected in the market already lah. You can see
I
that
think
all
so. Yeah,
semiconductor. It's
yeah,
like no.
and
I mean, you ask this
yes, you're
question,
right.
you look at the chart, you can see the answer.
You're right. Because the fact is, by the time all of us read about it, the deal's done, and
Yeah.
all the insiders would have driven the price up.
Yeah. Things in the
Question
stock
for you,
market
Shafiq.
is the market move with the sentiment, right? So
Yeah.
normally it move faster than the economics event lah, something like that, right? So yeah, this is a question from Ahmad Fauzi, because he shout my name, Shafiq, right? Can you answer
Yeah.
Faith Q on chat in a new counter? Actually, why is Faith Q? Sorry, Fauzi. Is there
I think that's a
is there
viewer.
counter names Faith Q?
No. It's
Sorry?
a viewer. Someone here. Okay, Shafiq, I found
What is
the
Faith Q?
question. Is someone that's
Yeah.
watching out? Okay, so the question is, how do you analyze a stock just after an IPO without much data? The stock is
So it's
HPP HB.
Oh, right. So how we analyze a stock that is new lah, right?
Yeah.
There's no way
Without
to analyze
historical
because in
data, a bit hard, right?
without historical data, but there's always strategy
Fundamentals,
that you
I
can
guess.
play, right? So um, it's not really. I mean, this is technical lah. It's very yeah. Maybe we can look at the chart.
Yep. Why don't we show the chart?
So let's open PPHB.
Yep. HPP HB.
Yeah, HPPHB, because there's a two HPPHB.
That's the one.
HPPHB.
Yep, that one.
Yeah, this thing is also
Yeah,
same
this
thing
one.
to, for example, you look at Mr. DIY, all these same things, right? But right.
Yep. Very good question here.
For me, it goes back to the IPO price. So, for example, for HPPHB, the IPO price is 36 cents, right? So, by that understanding, means that, right, there's a buyer at 36 cents, and when the price opened at uh, 57 cents, right? That is how many percent already, right? So I always use this rule, which I also mentioned in the last Technical Tuesday. I said that the market always take profit around 20%, 10%, 30%, 60%, 120%, 100%, right? So, and this is what happened in HPPHB, right? So if we measure from 36 cents, this is for first day strategy, right? This is for first day. Yeah, so it's around 100%. Okay, from 36 to the closing, right?
Yep.
And next is 150, right? So yeah, from here I will measure again where is the buying point. So if I'm not mistaken, the buying point here is around 90 something, right? 60 something. So you can measure from there to there also, right? So it's around 60%. So I mean, you can use this rule to anticipate where to take profit. That's number one, right? But after the price already creating a historical data, right? So of course, if you trade for one day, right, you cannot make decision while using this 4-5 candle, right? So that's why probably you change to 1 hour candlestick, so that you can see there's a pattern there. Is there you see any potential trade here. So yeah, it's not 1 hour, probably 30 minutes, 15 minutes, right?
Yep. So we have more candlesticks to look at.
Yeah, so you can anticipate from this also, right? But another thing, there's another strategy that you can utilize also, is you can use the previous low rules, which is as long as the price still maintain or still close above the previous low or the previous open, right? You can still hold the position. Means that, right, today the price still above, maybe first day you use 50%, right, for cut loss, right? That's for take profit. So the lowest point for first day is 51 cent, right? So the next day, if the price still close above that, around that level, or 51 or this level, you can still hold your position. The next day, the close is lower than previous day, you can consider to sell, right? So this is just like anticipation. Is like you need to create a strategy with a strict rule, right? This is when I in, this is when I out. For example, the percentage rule, which is if the price touch 60%, I will consider to take profit, right? This is direct in and out strategy. So you shouldn't use much analysis of this because simply you don't have the data, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
There's no historical data to help you.
Yeah, but that's the strategy that you can use, right? After you create this few candle, maybe a week trade day, right? 7 trading days, maybe you can see something, right? Yeah, so that's the point, I think. So anything you want to share, Shaun?
No, not at the moment. Can't really think of any charts now. Do we have any more questions?
Yeah, so even if you use Fibonacci, all this, you can see the things lah. Fibonacci works when there's no historical support resistance, so you use Fibonacci. But Fibonacci, the weak is you need to have high and low, right? Peak and trough, as a data, right? Another thing that you can use also probably Gantt chart, 9 to 9 table square. You can use, there's a lot of strategy lah actually, but yeah, maybe that is the thing that I probably will share first. Right? If you're interested to know more, you can join Academy class and we can discuss about the strategy, right?
Yes, sounds good. Contact
Okay,
Shafiq for
so
more information.
yeah, marketing a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we already almost 5 minutes to end. Okay, so sorry that is there any question that we couldn't discuss or couldn't address right today? Appreciate your question and your watching us today. So for the last 5 minutes, Shaun, anything you want to share?
Uh-oh.
Hello, testing.
I think you got disconnected for a while.
You go testing.
Hello?
Oh, all right. So I'm back.
Yes, now you're back. I can hear you.
Hello, testing. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, internet. Okay, so yeah, maybe last thing you want to share with us, or maybe like for closing lah. Anything you want to
Um,
advise or whatnot?
yeah, I think we covered quite a bit, right, in terms of chart patterns today. There are a lot more. I think we went through quite a few continuation patterns as well. And sorry we weren't able to answer all your questions. We just don't have enough time. But feel free to follow us on Stockbit and contact us there. And thank you for watching.
Yeah. Right. Am I still live? Because there's a lag. Hello, testing.
Hello. I think you are.
Hello, testing. I don't know whether I'm still live or not. But if you guys can see me, right? So yeah, maybe that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the session. You can join. You can go to Stockbit and discover more about stock market, right? And learn more about stock market. There's a good thread of discussion there from experience and trader and investor there. And yeah, and don't forget to go to the Fake Academy website. There you can go see what is we provide in Fake Academy for service, education based, and also yeah, service lah, right? So I think that's all for today. Thank you very much. Bye.